It's like he does this every week.
It's perfect, man. It's perfect.
Every week. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of FTSN's Kop Talk. It's all about a full-time sports network and Kop Talk. Yes, we are back. As I told you, win, lose, or draw, man, we are here. We don't hide, man. We're here. You know what I mean? Faithful right to the end. You know what I mean? Never walk alone, as they say, yeah? So, good evening, Preds. How are we feeling, sir?
I'm all right, thank you very much. I'm a bit bunged up, but don't worry, I'll plow on through.
Yeah, sounded a bit like Barry White out there, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wish, brother.
Yeah. Good evening, Stoney, my brother. How are you?
Good evening. I'm really good. Just looking forward to this evening's show and speaking about Liverpool, Wolves game, and a preview to the Everton game. So yeah, I'm good. I'm good, sir.
Yeah, definitely. I know we're talking about what do you call it, and previews and all that, but I don't know if right now, if we're looking forward to talking about upcoming games with the way things are going right now. I'm telling you, not too optimistic at the moment. But gentlemen, what we will kick off with is 3-0 loss to Wolves. I'd have to say, fair to me, if I'm going to be totally honest, they definitely deserve to win the game. On reflection. But is it time, gentlemen, that we definitely need to change the formation and try and stick with a new formation and to bring in some different players? I'm not talking about buying new players. I'm talking about what we've got. Bench and some of the youth. That's what I'm talking about. Is it that time now?
I don't know. It's just like it's one of those where do you put a young player in with a team that's clearly struggling? Will they be affected? Will they be impacted by it? It's a sticky one because he's got grown. Like, I mean, our injury list is whittling down now at the moment. So we've got some on paper really good senior players, but it's just for some reason we just can't seem to get any sort of consistency whatsoever. Which is it a confidence thing? Is it a fitness thing? Is it a mind thing? Either way, the way we defended against Wolverhampton Wanderers was, it was schoolboy errors.
Did we defend?
Huh? Well,
did we defend?
Yeah, that's debatable. And if your team's not playing well, you want the players to at least do the basics well, and we couldn't do that. So we struggled.
Okay, but do we change the formation at least? You're not 100% with bringing in the younger players. You said because it's a struggling team, it might damage them, their confidence. Yeah. But do we change the formation, President?
I think he's tried changing formations, and
no, but I mean, no, not in the middle of a game or whatever. I mean, start with
now.
We're gonna stick with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been banging on about it, and someone else has been banging on about like we're not having a plan B. And now this is a time now where we haven't got the players to play that system that he wants to play. So now, as a world-class manager he's got to find a solution, and he's got to be able to be adapted. I'm not trying to tell Klopp what to do, but surely you got to be able to adapt to say, well, look, what have I got, and what could work? Let's play to our strengths rather than playing into other people's strengths, because we're not that team playing 4-3-3 when we're clearly not that team. So why not?
Okay, Stoney. Same question to you, Stoney.
No problem. Yeah,
formation and bring in some different players.
Brilliant. So I think moving forward, and we got Everton on Monday, right? So Van Dijk's been out a little while with a hamstring injury. He's meant to be back. Bobby's been out with the leg injury. He's meant to be back. And I'm all talking about them being back for Monday, right? So Van Dijk's meant to be back. He's back in training. He should be ready for Monday. Bobby should be back with a leg injury. He should be back for Monday. Ibrahima, he's been out with the hamstring. He should be back for Monday. Jota's been out for a calf injury for a long period of time. He should be back for Monday.
It's going right through my question 3.
No, but I'm also saying as well, Thiago's obviously been out for a period of time with the thigh injury and should also be back for Monday, right? So watch this.
Thiago?
I'm sorry, Artemelo.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
So in terms of that, even this season, if we think about going into the season 2022-2023, we've actually have been playing different formations, all right? So we have our default is the 4-3-3 with the one at the base, 2 number 8s, and a 3 up front. We have played the 4-4-2. We have played the 4-2-3-1. So regardless, I think, of the personnel or the formation, we're still not getting the results. So I think going into this game against Everton, regardless of the formation, I think it's going to be about how we set up tactically against Everton. Going forward to the Monday's game, all right? Everton are probably going to look at us not having a rich game of form and probably think that they're going to be coming into this game with Allardyce thinking that they can actually get the win. And that's happened in previous seasons. Everton have come into the game thinking that they're going to get a result against us. Our home form is indifferent, but our away form has been woeful. So if we're looking at a game on Monday, Everton ain't getting away with nothing. They're not coming away with nothing but 0 points. That is just how I currently feel at the moment.
And we all know about your predictions, don't we?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Let's not go down that road.
At least I'm consistent.
We know about your predictions, mate. I tell you. All right, so I hear what you're both saying, and I hear you, Stoney, on saying, yeah, we've tried this formation. But what I'm trying to say is, when I say that I've changed, I mean something that we changed to and try to stick to make it gel and to make it work. Not just, all right, we've changed it halfway through a match, or we started with this and then change it halfway through a match. I'm talking about, let's play this 3, 4, 5 games. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can get this to gel and see if we can get this to work.
Do you know some of the things that I've actually seen here? Looking at some of the other games, and we're not just speaking about the game that we've just played against Wolves. It's almost as if some of the goals we've conceded have been from individual errors. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking sometimes, what more can Klopp and the coaching staff do in terms of tactical setup, in terms of physical setup and mental setup? But if you go into a game where our last game against Wolves, you do all of that preparation, and then Matip, for whatever reason, does our own goal. All of the tactical stuff you've gone completely out the window. I don't know. I don't have the answer. I mean, I know, Artie, you've played at a high level, and so has Preds. So when your manager and your coaching staff have gone through all of that preparation, but we're constantly having individual errors, where do you go from there? I don't know.
Yeah, now you've got a point there, because end of the day, like, the coaching staff can only do so much. When it's time for kickoff time and the players cross that white line, it's now their responsibility to now, their objective is now to transfer what they've done during the week or whatever they've been doing into that game. And the manager has to trust his players to then be able to transfer that. And you're exactly right. I think whatever formation you play, if there are individual errors, they have a knock-on effect. And that's what happens if you can't defend properly, whatever formation you're playing. Like, you're on the hide into nothing. We've got to be able to defend, not just individually, but as a collective unit. If you look at the first goal against Wolves, the ball's been played. The lad's got time to take a touch, have a cup of tea, take a bite of his sandwich, and then still pick out the man. No pressure on the ball.
Yeah.
And then the guy, as the ball's been played, Matip, for some reason, he's stopped. Because I'm thinking he's trying to obviously try and play mind games as a striker. The striker's done what he can, which is basically get the ball back across goal. Yeah. And then he hits Matip. But it's just the build up to that goal was just, if you let any player in the world time, if you give them time, they will produce quality.
Yeah, then they'll look good, of course. You give any player time, they'll look good.
Yeah.
Even Harry Maguire. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
you
try
should.
it, and it'll look the mustard. Good evening, Vinny. Vinny says, "Hearty sipping on the rum punch like when a 30 came." Vinny, I tell you, listen, mate, this team is causing me to, you know what I mean? I need something, mate. And I hope you're taking one too, Vinny. Good evening, son. Can you ever remember a time in recent memory when everyone except the goalie seemed to shot of confidence and playing ability?
Well, I mean, that's a brilliant question as well, Vinny. I think we've mentioned it, and we thank you for every week joining into the show and
100%.
voicing your opinion that we value all of the time. And I think we've mentioned it that up until probably about April last year, we were in a really good position, and then unfortunately we ended the season on fumes. So I don't know that transition from the end of last season, the summer, and go into this season, what's actually happened to us, our club, and even going back to what we're saying about Allison with being in goal. Yeah, everybody knows we played a high line, but then we're almost expecting Allison to be able to save every single one-on-one. He's an amazing goalkeeper, but that's unfair on him. So I don't know. It's a collective thing at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, like, remember a recent memory. I mean, remember the days of Graham Souness coming in, and the players you're bringing in, and the sort of footballs that we've been playing, and it was
Julian
just
Dix
as bad.
and
Yeah.
Thank you. And Brett, you're right. Even if we go back to more recent years, and obviously you were mentioning about Souness there, even if we think about more recent years when, and I know that the remit for this person that I'm going to mention was completely different, all right? When Roy Hodgson came in, his remit was completely different than any other managers we actually had, all right? And we brought in some woeful players, absolutely woeful players, all right? So, I mean, for me, I'm probably one of these Liverpool supporters that my glass is half full. I'm still quite optimistic. That may be to my detriment, but I also believe that, look, we haven't signed anybody in this transfer window in January. We have to be able to grind out results. Sorry?
We signed one player.
One player, Gakpo.
Which was?
Gakpo.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So we've got the players, or the squad of players that we have between now and the end of the season, and we have to do what we're able to do with that. Whether we finish 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th, 4th, or whatever we finish, we have to basically try to get out results with the squad of players that we actually have. So my glass is half full, and I remain optimistic.
But you know what? Look, we love this game. This is the reason why we're right here talking about it. Like, win, lose, or draw, we're still going to be supporting Liverpool. We're still going to be frustrated because we're football fans and we want to see our football club do as well as possible.
Thank you.
When we're seeing performances like we are this season, it is disappointing because we were really on the crest of a wave. We was producing really, and Liverpool Football Club's name was something to be feared again, wasn't it? It was something to be feared again. Like, when people saw our team sheet, that's when people thought, like, the game was half won.
That's right.
The team sheet,
of course.
So now it's a case of now getting back to, right, I can't get back to a mediocre like season. I can't. Like, it's frustrating, and I'm sure the players are also frustrated, and Klopp is frustrated. But yeah, we've got to keep going, keep churning, and keep hoping that we it turns the tide somewhere along the line.
Good evening, Mr. Amonde Juma. He's from the Man United Agenda. Nice to have you on board, sir. He says, "Evening, chaps. This is like the old school boot room. Trying to come together and plan."
And you know what, Artie, you are so right. I think, thank you very much once again on Monday for tuning in. And I think yesterday was a beautiful show. I tuned into the Man United Agenda and obviously listened to on Monday and Mr. B with the Manchester United and Leeds watch along yesterday. Brilliant insight, as I said, on Monday, and Mr. B and everyone from the Man United Agenda. Amazing historian, so it was good. Thanks for tuning in as well. Listen, we love our club. Regardless, we love our club. The current state that we're in is not a short-term fix. It's a medium and long term fix, and we continue to love and embrace what Liverpool offer to us. So thanks on Monday for tuning in.
Good evening, Solo, as well. Another one from the Man United agenda. Nice to have you on board, sir.
The only thing missing from this little boot room is the more rum punch, some rice and peas,
And a bit of jerk chicken.
Jerk chicken, yeah.
We'll be well away, mate. Well away.
Yeah, telling you.
Vinny says we're 10 points off safety. That's a worry to me.
Someone else mentioned that as well, and you are correct, Vinny.
I've not been looking at that, Angelo.
Hello.
I've still been looking up.
Yeah,
I've not been looking down.
Yeah, it's true. And you know, in terms of what Vinny was saying, in terms of 10 points of safety, as much as our performances have been indifferent this season, our home form hasn't actually been too bad. For some unknown reason, I think our players are missing them families, because when we play the home game, when we play the away games, nothing's happening. So I don't know.
Abysmal.
Yeah.
Absolutely abysmal. So before we go on to a few more questions from our panel, our watching panel, I want to talk about when we talk about individual mistakes and so forth, but the third goal that we gave away.
Oof. Come on, man.
I'll tell you before, I ain't even got past the second goal yet.
Well, neither did Wolves on their social media.
Yeah, I'm telling you. It was
yeah.
To see where they run from and out, they just let Neves go and Thiago strolling. Oh man. It's almost like they've given up.
It just summed up our season so far.
Yeah.
That third goal, it just summed up, because you can see Neves is on the run. You can see he's 5-10 yards off of Thiago. Thiago's not checked his wing mirrors, and by the time he's actually reacted, Neves is off celebrating. So it just summed up everything about our defending on Saturday. It was horrible to watch. Horrible. And when you say about Alisson goalkeeper, like, everyone gets impacted by all these performances, and Alisson is still one of my top performers in the Liverpool side, regardless. But when the second goal, the guy's in the free kick, he gets onto his own knock on in the box. He takes a touch. One person goes to close him down and pressurize the ball, and then he's able to then clip it into the back into the far post, where they then pick it up. Like, where's the intensity? And that's what Klopp was talking about. Klopp was talking about he was bemused by just the lack of intensity and the willingness and desire to defend.
It is stressful. It is really hurtful to see, seriously. And I think the real bad thing about it is because we've gone from here to there in such a short space of time. I think that's what it is. It's been a slow decline, you know. It's just been that woo. The rug's been pulled from under your feet, basically.
Sure.
Klopp has said you are rebuilding. To me, that is acceptance that he has dropped off massively, and he alone can't solve it overnight. Maybe he needs coaching help. Brilliant.
And you know the answer to that on Monday. I think on a previous show, what we mentioned was in terms of help. It's a complex issue, I think, currently happening at Liverpool. And I said it's not just on field. Sorry. It's not just on field, it's off field, all right? So we're looking at our sporting director moving on. We're looking at our senior coaching staff moving on 3, mind you. And we're looking at one of our finance directors actually moving on. And there's the provisional either sale or partial sale of our club, all right? So when you're talking about help, it's not just on the field. And that's what I say, in Liverpool's current state, it's not just off the field. It's actually quite complex. So Klopp, to try and manage all of this restructure, as he said, and that transition there, you know, old players that we've obviously identified should not be there, players that contracts are going to be expiring at the end of the season. Liverpool at this current state is quite complex. So I will take all of the hits from everybody. I don't mind my chest. I'm a little man. I'll take all of those. I'll take all of those hits on my chest, but there's a big hit from what's happened with Liverpool.
Stoney, I'm going to disagree with you on that one there, mate. I'm going to be controversial on it, mate. I'm going to be like what I think there's two entities, right? You've got the football club, you've got the business end, and you've got the football ending, the football operations. All right, they shouldn't interact with each other. If that's not going so well, that should, in actual fact, galvanise the team. Like you've seen clubs who've got the taxman knocking on the door and looking to close the gates, yeah. But you see teams galvanise together as a group, as a collective group, and start fighting for each other. Like we're not in that bad of a situation in regards to finance. We're in a great situation. So in actual fact, some of the players have to take responsibility. Klopp has to take responsibility. People in the FSG has to take responsibility of a situation where it was, we should have continued to progress the way we was doing. We was buying players, giving them time, easing them in, all right, and then letting them come in and explode. We're not doing that. We didn't do that.
But you know what, Preds, and that is for me why I'm saying that my glass right now is half full because Julian Ward's still in place, right? We know Julian Ward's going to leave in June, right? I believe in and guess what? As Artie said, my predictions are always wrong. I don't know. I have a crystal ball, but I think it's made of mash. So anything I predict is always incorrect. But I'm confident, as I said, I don't know. It's just me. I've got a feeling before Julian Ward leaves, I believe at the end of the summer, we're going to get, and I'm not just talking about midfielders, by the way. I believe that we're going to have the nucleus of players that's going to allow us to go into the next season in a positive mindset. And I'm a still stronger believer there. I really do. So I do agree with you. When we were at the top, we should have been purchasing players. But I also believe behind the scenes, there's been too many factors why we weren't able to do that. And I agree with you. Any potential owners that coming in, they're laughing. We are a club that is not in debt. We're not in debt,
No, we're not.
We've got a salary of players that are reasonable. So any new owners that come in, even if there's new players that we bring in, it's still still respectful. You've got owners that will come in that doesn't have to purchase a new stadium because we've got two sides of the stadium that's currently being developed. So we don't have to look to be moving elsewhere. Financially, I still believe that we're in a good position. But 100% Preds, I agree with you. When we were at the top, we should have acted.
Yeah. 100%. And the player, and like, I think you know what, I've been quite protective of the players as well in regards to all this season and said, look, they're going to get through. But then we got to start pointing fingers and saying to the players, like, right, you cross that white line. It's your responsibility to engage and play the way that and the style and the ethos of the club. Like, the defending at Wolverhampton Wanderers was atrocious.
100%.
I get what you're saying, Stoney, about like what's going on, but that shouldn't affect the way we defend on the pitch. And the way we defended was shambolic. Sunday league teams would have been, would have had a field day. And you got to remember we also had chances as well. But again, like we've got chances. Nunes is on top of one, but it's just not going in for us. But we can't defend. So what can we do? Somebody's got to give.
And I'm on
100% clear-cut chances though.
We didn't have clear-cut chances.
No, they weren't.
Clear-cut chances.
Them man was like they was trying to pull in a nightclub. They was trying. Our forwards were like they were trying to pull in a nightclub after about 20 bottles aftershock. Those maths just don't equate. No period of time was that going to equate. Never. Disheartening.
But further to Amonde's comment about Klopp the coaching up, he mentions that Fergie brought in Carlos Queiroz.
Brilliant. And you know what's something that's quite, and I'm so glad Amonde's actually mentioned that. So it's quite, I think it's quite interesting. Pep Lindes, whatever his name is called, right? Right? He's not even our assistant manager, We never ever hear about what's his name? Is it Peter Prawitz, whatever his name is?
Yeah.
He's actually our assistant manager. We never ever hear this. I'm just talking about me. I've seen his face. I've never heard him talk. I've never heard him give a press conference.
He's more like stats and he's more stats and analysis
Yeah.
and bits and
Okay.
stuff like that. So he kind of there, but he's in the background in
So
respect
it's a
of
side chick.
yeah.
So basically, we've got an assistant manager that we don't ever see. He only appears on
Side
Valentine's.
chick, you know.
That's
Yeah,
the only
so-
appearance. So we say we're going to see him next week.
We're going to see him on Tuesday after the Everton game. So how can that work? You know, I don't know.
I say he's a side chick.
I don't-
Oh my days. So Vinny says, I think if you ask the team to end the season now and go on a 6-month break, I think they bite your hand off. Klopp too.
But do you know what, Vinny? You're right. But you know why? What disheartens me about Liverpool at the moment is right. We had the World Cup in. Did it start about November? The November break. Yeah.
Yes.
World
Yeah.
Cup.
Yeah.
So not all of our players actually participated in the World Cup. All right. So they would have had an opportunity to get their match fitness up. They would have had an opportunity to be at our training ground, getting tactical awareness. They would have gone to Dubai for warm weather training, XYZ. In my own head, foolishly, I thought, you know what, brilliant. Up until that, we were getting a smoke. So I thought, well, look, good. We managed to get a good break. When we come back after the World Cup, we'll be ready. Sideways.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. So for me, I'm thinking, what on earth were those players doing with Klopp and our tactical and coaching staff during that period of time? Because they come back worse.
100%.
That's disheartening. It's really disheartening.
You know what? It seems like we've caught in two teams. Like he's trying to get the old kind of philosophy out to bring in a new philosophy, and it's like both of them are interacting. And at the moment, it's causing a ripple effect in regards to we can't get no consistency. No one don't know their jobs. No one don't know when to go and press. It's just it's all out of sync. And you've got to remember, I think the time it changed is when Ronaldo left, because the three in midfield was, if you think about it, they were just workmen like, weren't they?
Yeah.
And then Ronaldo left, and we brought in Thiago, and he's tried to then implement a little bit more of a passing and controlling element to our game. But where you introduce a new thing, something has fallen off. But not just one or two things, 3 or 4 elements have fallen off.
100%. And you know, Preds, you're correct in saying that, because I think prior to us bringing in Thiago, I think some of the conversations, not just us, but I'm just talking about in general, was that if teams play a low block, then Liverpool are unable to kind of break them down. And obviously, we know with Thiago, he has that experience to be able to break that down.
Yeah.
But what we still miss, and I still going back to, I don't know. I've been bashed about this. We still miss a Coutinho.
100%.
We still
100%.
miss that type of player in Coutinho that
100%.
can actually break down players, that can actually score and cause havoc from midfield.
And
We
go
really
past
miss
players.
that.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you. We don't have a player from midfield that can actually break the lines between midfield and the offensive line. And I still believe that is what we actually miss, unfortunately.
Gonna say big shouts goes out to Mr. B, also from the Man United Agenda. Nice to have you on board, sir. And you can catch him tomorrow as well from 10 o'clock. He's got his show on a Friday as well. Check that out as well. I must say, big shouts goes out to him. I've got a massive shout goes out to Divas, Easy Mac and Jay, my long time brother. He's logged on today for the first time, and he's an Arsenal fan, by the way. So I know he's grinning from ear to ear right now. Ear to ear. And his uncle is my good bridge. We used to play football together. Brilliant. He's a Man United fan, so I know he's loving life as well right now. They've been giving it that smoke, the little digs they give me on Facebook and so forth. I've been getting it. Trust me, I've been getting it. But nice to have you on board, Mac and J, man. Yeah, man. Let's hear your comments, man. Get involved. Hit that like button, that share, and subscribe. Okay, so Vinny, he says, I agree, Stoney. I think there's a power struggle. I think Klopp's in the middle of it. He's definitely affected. In turn, could be impacting his coaching.
Definitely.
So this goes back to where Preds is saying that the two shouldn't really cross, and it's supposed to galvanize the team or whatever. I'm going to be a bit controversial in that, and I think that when you've got things going on in the background, I think it's almost impossible not to affect the players because the club is not running smooth. So it must affect the players.
I agree with you, but you know what? Also, why these players are, and as you said, they're human. They get a nice pay packet. They're playing for one of the best clubs, in my opinion, in the world as well. So those things shouldn't affect them. But as you said, they're human at the end of the days. At the end of the day, yeah, it's just frustrating. It's really, really, really frustrating. As you said, Klopp is in the middle of it. Our owners have been consistent because when they've come, they've never made any official statements. So I don't envisage them actually making any statements. But Klopp's obviously having dialogue with them, and he's having to be the spokesman. And him trying to be the spokesman is him saying, "Look, I believe in you behind the scenes. I've signed the new contract. I believe that we're trying to rebuild and trying to make a transition, but it's not what I thought was going to happen." And it's frustrating, very frustrating.
Okay, Vinny says what you said about the breaks only leads to the argument that there's bigger issues potentially within the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where do you gents think the new investment is coming from? Is it even coming? I can't see anyone wanting to invest as a minority owner.
No, but and you know what, Vinny, I think I mentioned a statement from before. Our club is not in debt at the moment. Remember, we own our stadium. Our current owners have invested heavily, financed into 2 of our stands. Yeah, we're not in debt. So I think if any new owners come in, whether they're going to do a complete ownership or whether they're going to do a partial ownership, either way, they're going to be in a good place. The only thing that irks me sometimes, right, is check this. Our current owners, if they've chosen not to invest, they're at a loss as a business, right? So I'm just trying to think of it like this. If we're in the Champions League, we earn £1, right? If we're in the Europa, we earn 22p. If we're in the conference, we earn 1p. If we're not in either, we earn 0. So for me, sometimes I'm then trying to think if our owners were thinking of investing in our club to make sure we're at the top, why didn't they invest in before? And the only thing I go back to thinking is we must be making an investment at the end of the season going into next year. But then that could also put us 2 or 3 seasons behind all of these other clubs that are out there. The Man Cities, the Man Uniteds, the Newcastles, the Arsenals. We're putting ourselves back 2 or 3 years, and that's just crazy.
I'll tell you what it feels like, right? It feels like FSG have come in and listen, they've done wonderful for the club and for the infrastructure and X, Y, and Z. But what Klopp done on what they gave him, that's when they're like, right, we've got a model here.
This is what I was just gonna say, Birds, before you started. Trust me. Yep. Trust me.
We've got a model here. Yep. And we haven't spent that much. And if you look at the expenditure between us and Man City, but we're still producing performances and things, they're like that.
Thank you.
Of course.
But the naivety of them is that when you get to that period, that's when you have to keep that going. That's the pressure.
They thought they could keep the penny pinching going and still get the same results.
Yeah.
That's what they thought.
Yeah, you're right.
And you know what? After a while, then things run out, man. Run out.
Well, things catch up because
the thing is.
Sorry, mate. I'm just saying.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All I was going to say is that we stand still, and then you get other teams who surpass us, who go past us. And you got, for example, Newcastle. They've gone in there. Obviously, he's invested heavily, but not saying that Liverpool needs to invest heavily, but we needed to keep going with the momentum. Keep going the momentum, right? Bringing in players who will be not just who will be good potentially starters, people who bring to the club to start games.
To be honest, though, have Newcastle really invested that heavy?
Newcastle have done amazing.
What have they spent really? On who?
They've done amazing. I think if you think of it purchase wise, they bought Isaac. They bought Isaac the striker, right?
Yeah.
And they had Jollington that they bought from. Yeah, they had Jollington that they purchased for £40 million. That was a striker. And Eddie Howe and his coaching staff done amazing to convert him into a midfielder. They bought, as you said, Bruno Ramirez. They bought in Pope. They bought in Trippier. They bought in Burns. What they've done, I think, is absolutely amazing. And they have got money.
Yeah, exactly. But none of them were astronomical fees.
No, there wasn't. But what it is that they need to get to a certain point before they get these players. They've got the money for these players. But so at the moment, they're investing to get into this fourth spot, into this top four. Once they get into the top four, that's when they're going to be getting those players. Those players that 2 years ago, if Liverpool would have gone for them, no one else would be in consideration.
Yeah,
we're going to be competing with those sort of like the top four. We're going to be competing with them, and even if we're not in Europe, like that's when you're going to be bringing in mediocre players and bringing in the youth and hoping that you'll do another miracle.
Good evening, Mr. Thought of the Day. Nice to have you on board, sir.
Happy birthday, Mr. Thought of the Day, by the way. Happy birthday.
Strong blessings, strong blessings,
strong.
brother.
Yes.
All life, mate. Yeah, have one on us, man. Have one on us. Vinny's saying that Leeds player, I think it's Ngonto.
Yeah, definitely. And Vinny's right. They bought him for what? Vinny, I know you're hearing it, tuning into his show videos. They bought him for like 4.5 mil from Zenit St. Petersburg. 4.5 mil. That is what some players have for a signing on fee. 4.5 million pounds.
Yeah.
So I agree with you 100%, Vinny. You are correct there, sir.
Good player, but he's a good player. But you see with this sort of is this someone who can continue though? Remember these players come in and all of a sudden, man, they come in, they hit the ground running, they have a good bit of form. You're like, yeah, boy,
I've arrived.
The other side of it is,
and then a month or so later,
they disappear.
Yeah,
and the other side of it is they are good.
Next thing you'll be going, that guy, man, he played for me.
What's his name again?
Yeah, what's his name?
Yeah. And he said the other side of it is those players are good, but are they of a standard to play for Liverpool? And that's what I always say.
Yeah.
So he's good, but he wouldn't get into Liverpool squad. That's just my opinion anyway. So, but good investment for Leeds. And I hope that this player has a good professional career for Leeds. But is he for Liverpool? No, not.
See, I'm going to track another player out, and I think he's just joined Leeds actually.
Yeah.
What's that guy? McKinney
from Juve.
From Juve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
you're buying all Americans though.
Yeah, but it's like I've got to be honest. Like I would have probably preferred him than Arthur Meadow. Like for one, he's fit.
Yeah, he's going to play.
He's going to play. And I think he's got a bit of a bad rep over in Juve, and I think he's got a bit controversial over there. But nothing. When he goes onto the pitch, he shows good qualities and good talent. Not to say that he's going to be a starter, but be a little bit proactive in regards to getting players such as him.
True. Yeah, and you're right. It's the same thing you were saying. They play in the same position in midfield. But I'm not unsure. I think he's younger than Arthur Melo as well at the moment as well. I mean, look, if there's any consolation, Arthur Melo's actually rejoined training in the first team. I'm not saying he's going to play.
I was just going to say that
rejoined training.
Look at that picked up line.
He's definitely going to feature. But the whole point of Klopp saying he's not letting him go, he's keeping him at the end of the season. So, because in January there was talk about what we're going to do, we're going to keep him, whatever. Klopp said no, we're definitely going to keep him. So he's definitely going to feature. Because Klopp said he's coming back to fitness, so he's definitely going to feature. So we're looking at Arthur, Jota, Firm, and VVD all back in first team training. Luis Diaz is running. So he's a few weeks behind the others. He's running. But as we all know, it's going to take time for them to get back to a full fitness and all the rest of it and find form and all that. We ain't got long, lads. Remember, season ends up in about May.
Yeah.
So we ain't got long. We're in February.
Games are running out thick and fast.
We ain't got long to go. Before they can find a bit of form and what have you. and hopefully that they can stay. We don't rush them back too quick, and they can stay fit. Because remember, Jota had come back and then got injured again.
Yeah.
So hopefully, hopefully they can come back. But all right, the names that we've just mentioned now. The issue I have is, are they really going to make a difference? Because one of the main issues that we have is centre midfield. And only one of those players is a centre midfielder. And he's not tried and tested. He's only played 13 minutes of football, which is Arthur.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what all right, we got Everton, we got Newcastle, we got Real Madrid, we got Crystal Palace, we got Wolves, and then we got United, yeah?
That's right. Yep.
So I think even if those players come back to join the squad, if they are able to impress Klopp and our coaching staff in, like training and what have you, and they're able to contribute towards the squad. And as Pred said at the beginning of the show, us obviously looking at playing in different formations, then I think we have to try and embrace it. If they may add a different dimension, they may have create or give us a different option or a different spark. They're part of the squad at the end of the day, so we have to try and embrace it.
I really do think that we missed Jota in respect of not only what he can do with the ball, but what he does off the ball. He's a bit of a, I'm not going to say he's a mold of Mane, but he does lead the line and presses really well. Yeah. And our press works from there. Same with Diaz as well. So no doubt we will improve in that area there. And I think that's our strength in defending from the front. Defending from the front, picking up and then picking the spots and everything. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it does make a difference because they are quality players, aren't they?
Okay. So Preds, I agree with you about Jota, definitely one of those players. But when we was doing that before, we had you can't press by yourself. Doesn't work.
No.
So when we was doing that before, you had other players pressing with him. Right now, we don't have the other guys pressing with him. So if he comes in and he starts pressing.
Yeah, well, with Jota, he's quite he leads by example, but he's also quite vocal as well. When you're playing in that central position, like your move, everyone reacts from your movement. Nunes at this particular moment, for one way or another, he's not really having that effect. Like Gakpo is as well. Gakpo, he's not used to. I don't know whether he's used to it or not. But you can see on Saturday here that he pressed very. When he did press, it was not 100%. Yeah, he didn't know whether to go and press it, and then he didn't know whether to then hold back. Like for the first goal, the ball's gone back. The guy's taking the touch. That's his man. He should be going to press him and forcing him out back into the centre because that's our position of strength. But he didn't. So I just think it's a lack of understanding, getting the distances right. And that goes all over the pitch as well. Everyone's time, people's timings off runs. Like we're taking 2-3 touches instead of 2 touches or 1 touch because that's what the forwards are programmed to react from. They're programmed to react from making the run off for 2 touches. But then, it doesn't quite happen. It doesn't happen for us. We lose the ball. Possession is not great. And when we do have chances, we're simply not clinical enough.
A big shout goes out to Ravi. He says, big up the Liverpool crew. Ravi says, going back to when we first started, we was talking about formations. Would we play 3 at the back with this current team?
Ooh, and you know what? Thank you very much, Ravi. I appreciate you actually tuning into to Cop Talk. I'm going to throw a question back at you there, Ravi, all right? So Virgil's obviously coming back to a form and fitness, and he may well feature for the Everton game on Monday. This is a question I'm going to throw back at you, Ravi, all right? If we were thinking of playing 3 at the back, we'll be looking at Gomez, Ibrahima, and the third centre-back would then either be Nat Phillips or Reece Williams. Would you be comfortable at that, sir? Because those would only be the 3 centre-backs that we can possibly play. All right? So the 3 centre-backs would possibly be Gomez, Ibrahima, and Nat Phillips. Or if it wasn't Nat Phillips, it will be Reece Williams, who we've actually come back on loan from us. How comfortable would you feel about playing those 3 at the centre-backs? Because those are the only 3 that we can possibly play, unless I'm incorrect.
I think playing like a 3 is
Hold on.
Like,
Hold on. What's happened to Matip?
yeah, you forgot
So
Matip.
that's what I said. Matip. No, Matt.
No, you didn't.
So,
You said Ibrahima,
yeah.
Gomez, Reece Williams,
No.
or Nat Phillips.
Sorry. Ibrahim is not fit. Remember. So sorry. I do apologize. So
Matip.
it would be
Oh, that's what I'm
Matip.
saying. Yeah, you had me. I was like, what?
Sorry, I do apologize. So it would be Gomez. Sorry, it would be Matip, Gomez, and Nat Phillips,
Right.
or Matip, Gomez, and Reece Williams. Because
Right.
remember,
Okay.
Ibrahim is still out with a hamstring, and Virgil's only coming back to injury, coming back to match fitness.
Yeah. Right. Now that makes sense. Now, yeah.
Yeah.
Scary.
So as you said,
I've mentioned that before as well.
Mm.
We've spoken about that three at the back before, and I'm sure Prez is one of the people who said he doesn't think it would work.
okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Prez. I'm sure you said
No,
you don't think it would work.
yeah, absolutely correct.
I don't know. I think it might give them a bit more stability having three out and out centre halves.
Mm.
I think that could give them a bit more stability. But I would also not just play three at the back like that with the two wing backs. I would then also play two in front of them, not just one.
But even with that Artie, we tried to play the two, because I remember when we played Brighton, right? We played the two at the base, and we attempted to play Thiago at the tip. So we played, I think it was Fabinho and Henderson and Thiago just at the tip. That still didn't work. However, we haven't played it three at the back, so it's not saying that it wouldn't actually work. It's almost trying to find the combination of the two that will play in front of the three at the centre backs. Because as you said, if it was played a three, Trent would obviously play over on the right hand side, Robbo would play over on the left, and whether we'd play the two deep lying CDMs and then a midfielder in the front.
Yeah.
So, we haven't seen that. But
That's what we need to. We need to try and set up to be a bit more solid to try and give ourselves a chance in the game.
True.
Right now we are we're like butter at the moment, and we need to try and build that solid base, and you have to build that from the foundation, which is always from the back.
True.
Yeah, but you also have to ensure that you concentrate, and everyone makes mistakes, but it's like we're getting punished for our mistakes. And no formation. Yeah, but
this is what I'm saying. I reckon if you've got the three at the back and you've got the two deep line, there's people around you who might be able to get you out of that if you made a mistake. There's someone around who might just be able to nip in or put somebody off. Whereas as it is now, when you've made that glaring error, that's it. They're in on goal basically. Do you understand? If you've given the ball away, you might have someone around you, or that deep line midfielder may be around you, maybe to just save you from that.
Yeah,
because you've got more players around you.
Yeah, I mean, like playing a free, you could do that and play Gomez of the right of a free because he's quite mobile going out. If Ibrahim was fit, he could probably play on the left side with VVD in the middle. That could possibly work. I mean, it's one of those where is he going to try and test that sort of formation in the middle of a season without really working on the system? Probably not. But it's an interesting thought, and it's given us food for conversation right now. And that's what it's all about, And listen, at the moment, we all want the same thing. Is like we want improved performances, and more importantly, we want wins. So, listen, I'm open to discuss all.
Ravi's got one here for us, gentlemen. Right?
Go
he
on.
said, "I would be with what article said. Can't do any worse than what we have. Costas, I would start him over Robbo. Not to say Robbo is bad, but Costas is better suited to certain games."
And you know what? That is absolutely brilliant what Ravi was saying. So Robbo was actually captain for us against Wolves, wasn't he? And it's a strange thing as well. Andy Robinson's had an indifferent season so far from us this season. I don't think, by his own standards, I think he's probably played, and once again as well, put in the comments, right? I think Robbo's probably played about 18 games for us this season through all competitions.
Yeah.
No assists. So by Robbo's standards,
that's poor. That's poor.
Very, very, very poor, right? So no assists. When Costas has come in, he's actually played quite tidy as well. So you're right. It could either be Robbo, or if he was to play the three at the back, by the way, right? It could either be Robbo or Costas over and that.
Mhm.
You know, it's just the thin lines at the moment. But as he said, by Robbo's own standards, he hasn't been cutting the mustards for whatever reason, which is a shame.
Here he is, Stoney. He's arrived.
Thank
Thingy.
you. That's what I'm saying, man.
We've been looking for you, bro.
Thank you.
He's just arrived.
That's what
Good
I'm saying,
evening,
man.
sir. Nice to have you on board. Rav, I like Ravi. You know, Ravi's got bare questions for the man.
Thank you.
Question: would you bench Salah for a couple games as he's dipped in form?
Yes.
Bench
Yes.
him and sell him, Ravi.
Yes.
Sell
would.
him.
I would. As I said, I had and I'm confident that this person's actually tuned into the show because we were speaking about earlier at work. So Sherwin, if you're tuning in, thank you very much, sir, because I know you're going to be tuning in. We had a conversation at work earlier about you tuning in. Your thoughts are valid about Liverpool. So going back to about Salah, yeah, I would. I think at the moment he's playing Connect 4 at home with his family with gold chips and
Gold chips.
And that
chips
shisha.
and a
Gold
shisha.
platinum.
Yeah, it's either blueberry or strawberry or whatever at the moment.
Both.
But
Strawberry and
whatever
rice.
happens, Salah, brother, if you're tuning into our show, your performance has been ill this season. So
You know what? You know what's been so thingy, right? We're talking about
frustrating.
we're talking about talisman, and like he's given us some of the most greatest and amazing moments in the last 5 years with his finishes and his like. But this is the time when this is the time of great players.
Yeah.
When going from a good player to a great player because you're bringing the players and the club with you.
Thank you.
And Salah just hasn't stepped up to that plate.
Yeah.
Do you know what? You know what, Preds? I have a theory here. Okay, don't laugh at me, by the way, right?
I'm laughing already now.
I'm laughing already now. You can't say that, brother. That's what happens.
I have
Don't
a theory,
laugh,
right?
You need to bust it up.
Listen, I think when Salah got his new contract, Adidas made his boots a size smaller, so he's got bunions. So I think that's why I think that's why he can't play properly this season.
Bruv, they must have put
small.
They must have put a layer of concrete on the bottom of his soles,
I think so.
They put a stone in his shoe, mate.
Yeah, because
Like-
you know what the thing is about Salah? It's not even just his approach offensively. Even his passing and his range of passing is off. Any of the left backs that he's up against, it's like they've got no respect for him. It's like he is Johnny No Mates playing for the Dog and Duck down in Ashford International. You know, they got no respect for him. Like, this guy don't exist.
Yeah.
Whereas that would never ever happen before. It's like he's a fake guy. I don't know. It's frustrating.
I mean, it comes across like, and it's frustrating. I don't want to say it, but it's like one of those where it's like he's got the contract he wanted. He's blessed. But it's like, from my point of view as a football supporter, listen, you're one of the best players that the club's had. You've given us great moments and special goals, right? This is now your moment to now, you know, not just in Africa, let people know in Africa, but let people know in the world that Mo Salah, I was doing things and I brought Liverpool through. You know, I dragged them through. You got players like Stevie Gerrard, he dragged us through some games. And some
100%.
seasons. Luis Suarez dragged us through some games. You know,
Yeah.
those sort of quality players. And this is where the moment Salah needs to kind of just roll his sleeves up and say, look, you need to get back. We need to get back on levels. And him personally has to look in himself in the mirror. And look, this is not good enough, man. Not good enough by a long chalk.
Bingy says, further to Ravi's comment, Bingy says, hell yes. Ravi says, when I said that about benching Salah to a few Liverpool fans, they said I was mad.
No.
When he goes again to the questions, I like Ravi.
Listen,
I'm
every
you Magnus Magnuson, Ravi. Yeah. Those of a certain age, you'll know who Magnus Magnuson is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see, the good thing about that is what was mentioned there about when some people sometimes say about your comments or your thoughts are mad. The beautiful thing is, when you're invested in a club, your thoughts can be valid. And we've mentioned it a lot of times on the show, and that's what I love about Kop Talk. I may come on with an opinion in my own head, but then when I'm on here, we have the comments or we have the feedback from the panel, and then it changes our minds.
Yeah.
We're all invested, and sometimes we see the
course.
games completely different, and that's the beauty of football.
Very true. Question, right? He says, how does Carvalho get a game? Will Gakpo and Nunez get benched when Diaz and Jota come back?
Yeah.
Listen,
Well, yeah.
Why not? Why not? I think the adjustment with Carvalho, as he said, he's making that transition from playing in the Championship to obviously playing in the Premiership. He's also making that transition from playing a different formation. So when Fulham played, and remember, bearing in mind, what's the Fulham striker that's scoring all of the goals? Mitrovic, brilliant, right? So Carvalho was involved in 15 assists to Mitrovic's goals. So bearing in mind, they did play a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
With Carvalho either playing over on the left or sometimes, I've mentioned on the show, so I'm going to change my terminology.
Ambush.
But he played behind the forward. All right.
Ambush!
So he did play.
Gaffer. When do you want me to go in ambush? Well, listen, just let the ball roll there, and then all of a sudden, ambush!
Just jump out.
Ambush! Ambush! Ambush!
But what we have to bear in mind is Carvalho is a young player. He's a player similar to Harvey Elliott. They're a player for the future. We don't need to rush him. I think Carvalho, in our current way that we're playing in a 4-3-3, his position would be an understudy to when Luis Diaz comes back to play on the left-hand side of the forward, but an understudy to Luis Diaz. That's the way I see it anyway. Brilliant player anyway.
But you can
I'm
see,
elated
though,
that we've got him.
You can see, though, like when you get the likes of, well, when you get your Jota, Diaz, and then the first choice will probably be Salah. You got them three, and then you just rewind again where Ravi's talking about Carvalho. Then you've got that next three of Carvalho, Gakpo, and Nunez. You've got, you can see that progression. It's just a case of, I think that it'll be great for these players to come back in because you probably need to take Nunez and Gakpo out of the firing line at this present moment. But then that's going to be difficult because, like you said, they're going to be these injured players who are coming back.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line. It's all fine lines, and Klopp's got to juggle it, and he's got to do it correctly. Otherwise, you're going to get players injured again.
Yeah. He says, I'm in a better mood tonight, but I still stand by what I said last week. Sack the majority of our scouts, and we need total reorganization of our backroom staff as a good few are leaving.
And this is why I wanted Bingy to come on the show. You know, Bingy, at this current moment, we have Liverpool have 17 scouts. Just check these out. Bear with me, right? We have 17 scouts, and so we're not talking about our women's team. We're talking about our first team, our under 21s, and our academy, right? 17 scouts, 17, right? Bearing in mind, I think on our last show I mentioned that Dave Fallows, so our chief scout, is going to be leaving, and obviously Barry Hunter, who's our head scout, is going to be leaving as well, right? So there's a lot of things I was saying that the complexities about on the field and off field. There's so many transitions that have actually been taking place. It may be when Dave moves on and when Barry moves on that there's more structure for us. So I do agree with you in that. But there's a lot of transitions. If the top people are moving on, then the people underneath, where's their direction?
Yeah.
I think he's right.
So Ravi agrees with Bingy about our scouts. He says, to be fair to Mo, his role is different this season as we now have an out-and-out forward up top, but he should be doing better with the opportunities that he's had. Which is very true. Bingy agrees with you, Stoney. Ravi says very true. Ravi says he subscribed a few weeks ago. Was he trying to make a debut, Ravi? Huh? A few weeks ago, but only just come on now. That's courage, yeah?
Come on, we're not that bad.
Or Paulinho from Fulham is a top guy. Listen, that's one of Stoney's players.
Listen, who I've been talking about? Ravi. I've been talking about this brother. Listen, there's only two players that I've been saying that I would, apart from JB, two players that I was saying that I would absolutely love that Liverpool would be in a position of purchasing. One of which was Paulinho,
Definitely.
and the other was the Udinese captain that obviously ended up going to Atletico Madrid. So Ravi, completely understand. I believe that Paulinho is silks. He's 27. He does every single thing you could absolutely want from a midfield. Bearing in mind,
100%.
yeah, Fulham player 4-2-3-1. So he's there and he sits with Pereira in the 2. And sometimes when they revert to play the 4-4-2, which they have actually done in some games, he's still in there with Pereira. And even when they play the 4-3-3, Paulinho's still at the base. Every single time, and I've said it on previous shows, I think it was beautiful that, as I said, on Monday from the Manchester United agenda, there was a show when we were speaking about the impact that Casemiro's had on Manchester United and the Premiership. Stats wise, Paulinho runs everything, every single thing. I don't nobody talking anything ill of this person. If we were
You got
linked
shares in
with
him or
this
what?
person, I would be elated. And remember, Fulham purchased him for like 35 mil. I know his stock's gone up. We can afford.
Of course.
Listen, you know what we can do? We could sell nice shape up Curtis Jones, that, as it says, got the nice shape up, and there's 35 mil on there. Bring in Paulinho.
I'd take that all
I
day
love
long,
that.
mate. All
Wait,
day
one,
long.
Stoney. Have you got shares in Paulinho?
I wish I did. Do you know what? You see, after I leave here, I'm going to speak to you guys.
Mate.
I'm going to speak to you guys off record, right?
And secondly, mate, I know your game, mate. You're trying to chuck your hat into the scouting job, aren't you?
He's doing a good job, mate.
He's doing a good job, isn't he? I see you.
Big
Has to
shout
be,
goes
man.
out to Albert. Nice to have you on board, Albert. Big says
Love it, Tony.
Our form will change when our top players are back.
Listen, I'm gonna throw it in, but I'm gonna be so provocative once again, Binky, and that's the beautiful of the show, right? When you're speaking about the top players at the back, if you don't mind elaborating on this, all right? So if we're thinking of the top players at the back, I'm thinking Alisson's still there, so he's a top player at the back. Robbo's still there, Trent's still there, and then we're looking at the two centre backs. So we're speaking about the combination of Van Dijk and Ibrahim, or are we talking about the combination of Van Dijk and Matip? Right? So we have to be mindful of that. For me, I'm not making any excuses about our woeful performance at the moment. So if we're speaking about our backline being back, is it about the reintroduction of Van Dijk? And bearing in mind, Van Dijk's played a series of games this season and he still hasn't been that guy.
Okay, so right, we're gonna move on swiftly because time is getting on now, gentlemen. And I'm glad that Ravi's put in this next comment that we're going to bring up. This is something I was actually going to get to. So, right, we've given the light. We're talking about extending James Milner for another year again. Did you know that also that Gomez had signed a long-term contract until 2027?
Yes.
Okay. So, Ravi's mentioning, how do we bring in fresh legs if we keep extending contracts?
In fairness, Ravi, the fresh legs are already there, right? Let me just throw something in there, right? The fresh legs on, and I'm bearing in mind that these players haven't played regularly at the moment, right? Some of which, right? Fresh legs. Calvin Ramsey's still to play at right back for us. That's fresh legs, right? We've got Elliot, we've got Thiago, we've got Stefan, fresh legs, all right? Gakpo has only come to the team, so he's meant to have fresh legs. Nunes is still developing fresh legs, all right? Jota's still to come back, fresh legs. Luis Diaz is to come back from injury, fresh legs. That's 8 players. That's fresh legs. We ain't got no excuse. None. 8 players right there. No excuse. That's just my opinion.
I don't know if I would still class Jota and Diaz like as fresh legs, though.
Well, I tell you what, we've seen
the rest. I could probably say yes.
All right, so even as that's the case, then R2 whip that down to 6, right? But we've obviously seen what what Diaz has been able to do before prior to his injury. So for me, him coming back, if he's in a rich form, that's a new player to us. And also Jota's the only player that I see in our current squad that can replicate what Bobby does. So in my own head, that's why I'm saying because he hasn't played for a period of time, that's fresh legs in my own head, and that's why I'm thinking of the 8 players.
Okay, so Bingy says, hopefully we get our backroom staff sorted by the end of the season. We can't go into the new season without these posts being filled. That's never going to happen by the end of the season, Bingy. If anything, that will happen, right? You'll get them guys. Remember, their contracts or whatever, they'll be leaving then, and then it'll be happening during the summer. If anything, that's when that will be getting sorted out.
I should imagine that it's going to be an in-house appointment because of the indecision at the top at the moment regarding whether they're going to sell or not. I very much doubt you're going to get the club contract and attract a very world-class, to replace the people leaving, because those people coming in, you're not going to go to a club knowing that the owners are looking to sell. There's no quiet direction at the moment at the club. So will you leave your post for Liverpool at the moment?
Yeah. Ravi, you was doing so well. You was doing so well.
Oh no.
and then you just sport it now, man. You just sport it.
Ravi, I was with you, mate, and then
I'm not sold on Jude Bellingham. Don't see the hype on him and what he would offer.
Oh,
yo, Stevie Wonder can see what this dude would offer, bro. This dude is going to be the guy.
We've spoken about him through previous episodes.
I can't, but Ravi, I'm disappointed, man. I'm disappointed. Seriously, I'm real disappointed. All right, let's get through a few more of these before we have to end the show, people. So, no one ain't really talking about him, and I'm glad he wasn't at the World Cup, as that just puts him in the shop window like the Brighton players. Who's Bingy talking about it?
I'm not sure. Bingy, tell us who you're talking about, please, sir.
Talking about
him.
And I'm glad he wasn't at the World Cup, as that just puts him in the shop window.
Yeah, tell us who you were talking about, Bingy, sir.
Hey, Nevin, fellow Copites, loving the channel, chaps. Potentially a write-off this season. Unfortunately, what you guys reckon for next year if we can't sign Jude? CM a massive problem.
Can I just jump in? And I apologize for interrupting you, Artie. Thank you very much, Sam Page, for joining in. Sam Page is one of our managers for Oman Orient Football Club. We're based in North Wembley. Always looking for players. Thanks very much, Sam. Sam is another Liverpool historian, wealth of knowledge, absolutely top guy. We spoke about our channel last week when I went down to watch our reserve team play. So thank you very much, Sam, for joining the show and obviously placing in your comments there. Back to you, Artie.
He's getting a little following here, Artie. What's going on here?
It's a steady takeover, mate.
Can we play as well? Can we?
Yeah.
And Sam, just before we move on, sorry to be rude, but we have to move on quickly. CM is a massive position, and we need 2 to 3 players, not just the one. Definitely looking at 2 to 3. I'm talking about players up top, i.e. Diaz, Jota, but our backline is so out of sorts. I honestly don't know who I would start.
Okay.
Albert says we can flog Gomez. He ain't going nowhere because apparently, Klopp, like we said, he's been given a long-term contract. Klopp sees him as someone for the future, and even apparently VVD has spoken out about it and has told people that Gomez and Konate will be taking over for him and will be the future of Liverpool.
Okay.
We need to move on. Ox, we know this. Milner, Henderson, Nat Phillips, even Jones, as I don't see him making it at Liverpool. Yeah, I mentioned that about Jones as well. We've spoken about Jones before. One of the things I did have on my list actually was, before we move on swiftly, gentlemen, do we need to be bringing Nat Phillips into the team? He is one of them guys, like we say, he does what it says on the tin. He's a defender who just defends.
Yeah. I think he needs to be given a chance. Personally, I think look, we all know that Virgil van Dijk's good. We all know that Ibrahim Konate, in my opinion, I like Ibrahima Konate as well. We've seen Matip play, we've seen Gomez play, but we've got Nat Phillips there, and I don't know what his role is. His role just to come and participate in training games and be a cone man. I don't know what he does. Is he carrying the drinks to training
The
on the
bibs.
matches? Give the man a
He's one of the
chance.
club man, isn't it? The club man.
You know,
He's giving out the bibs.
Yeah,
No,
I
but you
think
have to remember this guy. When we had no defenders, he saved us.
Yeah,
And
100%.
and he performed well.
Yeah, but you must be. But then you got to think. Well, Klopp sees him every day, so
Yeah.
you know if Klopp sees him every day and he's still not starting, then you know it's obvious that he's going to only start when we're at the bare bones, and
But
he's
Prez,
clearly accepted
we are
that.
at the bare bar. People. You see when teams are playing against Liverpool, as I said, people are looking at Liverpool like that man that like there's a man. If you guys are from West London, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So
I'm adopted, but yeah.
all right,
won't go there.
adopted. So from Northwest London, anybody that's tuning in, if you guys are from Northwest London, you guys know about Gunsmoke, right? And like people are looking at Nats Phillips like he's Gunsmoke, and he's got some potential. So don't look at him like he's on liquor. He can play. He's got a contract with Liverpool, and he can do a job. Give the man a chance.
Thank you. That's what I reckon. I reckon we should give him a chance. To be fair,
Yeah.
Like we can't do no worse than what's going on right now. He can't be any worse.
Thank you.
Bingy's responding to when we mentioned about when he mentioned about the backroom staff and that. He said, "Yeah, but they know these guys are going, so they should be looking at who is going to replace them from now." Demas Macca J says, "Great content, guys. Good to have you on, Macca J, man. I know how you feel. Tell me how you're feeling, man. Are Arsenal going to win the league, Macca J? Are they going to hold on? Are they going to do it?" Oh, Bingy was talking about Paulinho when he said about playing at, not being at the World Cup and his price going up. Okay, yep. Albert, what if Jude doesn't want to come to because he doesn't want to play for a non-Champions League participant?
Listen, so be it. You see, with me, in an ideal world, we'd love Jude Bellingham to actually come to Liverpool. I think it'd be amazing for us. I think he'll be able to achieve every single domestic honours that he's ever wanted to. But, if he doesn't come, he's still an amazing player, and I wish him the best in his professional career. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
I second that, mate.
Improve, or is he at the end of the road like Boys to Men? He's not going to improve anymore now. He's 29. He's 29. He's not
that has got to be the comment of the evening.
End of the road like Boys to Men. Bingy, I like that. Bingy's answering questions for us. Albert, Klopp said in a press conference a few weeks back, he doesn't want a player who just wants to play in big tournaments. I believe they've had talks and he'll be fine without Champions League as he will be back. Okay, yep. And I believe that too. Sometimes players, it's not about that. Players want to play for the manager. And if the manager can sell them the dream that, you know what, you come in, we're going through a bad part. It's transition right now, but you can get us back to the top. And you can be that main cog. Then there's something there for you to come and we can, we'll build that team around you. Okay. I would give Nat Phillips a chance, but I'm not sure Klopp will. Okay. If Gomez is the future of our centre-back pairing, then God save us. Gomez should become a Ben White. We want to keep him or we should sell him. The centre-back we need is a self-confessed Liverpool guy named Gavaldi.
Okay.
Big shouts, Albert.
Well, I say, Albert, you drop something in here for me, and I'm just saying for myself, I need to do my research.
Isn't it? Where are your sources?
That is my assumption, not fact. Albert says Bingy, and Bingy says, I like Nat Phillips, no nonsense defender. That's what I'm talking about. Just does what it says on the tin, mate. Simple as. Gentlemen, I must say, it's been a blast, lads. It's been a blast. Once again.
You know what? I've just looked in the corner I just looked in the corner and thinking, wow, where's that come from?
We could be getting there till the birds are chirping outside. It's time to go to work.
You
know what I mean? We seriously could. Definitely. Right. Oh, look. I have to read out this one before we go. Bingy says, Albert, we will see. And if I'm right, you owe me a drink. Yeah? For real, definitely. I hear that, and we've all witnessed that now, Albert. We've all witnessed that. So, people, do remember, hit that like, that share, and subscribe button. If you know somebody who likes Liverpool, they didn't get a chance to see the show now, tell them about it. They can watch it tomorrow. Hit that share and hit that like and subscribe button. Okay. So, people, we will be back next Thursday. We have Everton upcoming, and as we do, we will ask the panel, even though Stoney just... I want Stoney to say that Everton will win 7-0. That's what I wanted to say.
This is stressful, man.
Then we might stand a chance.
Just don't make a bet either, Stoney.
Yeah. Good shout goes out, Mr. B. Says top listing again, guys. So,
okay.
Liverpool, Everton, the derby game. Form goes out the window, as we know, gentlemen. What's going to happen?
Oh mate, it's gonna be a humdinger. It's either gonna be a humdinger or absolute score draw, but I can't see it being a score draw. So I'm gonna go for I'm gonna be positive. All right. If this might be the game where we winning and we'll say our season starts now. So let's get a win and our season starts now, and then we can keep that momentum going and see where it takes us to the end of the season.
True.
Okay, Stoney.
Well, let's say you know me when it comes to score predictions, I'm always incorrect. So, oh no, you guys, please don't do this to me, man. So I'm saying Liverpool are going to get a win. I am not predicting the score, and
yeah, I think it's a safe bet. That's a safe one.
Next week Thursday.
That's as safe as we're going to get, you know. It's a safe one.
Okay, all right. I'm going to go for a Liverpool win as well. I think, forget the Sean Dice factor. I think, definitely going to go for a Liverpool win. Gentlemen, it's been a blast. Preds, thank you very much. And even though you weren't well, still turned up and represented. I like that.
Yeah, well, listen, it's a pleasure, mate. And thank you for all the viewers and all their comments. And Ravi, I'm going to be nicking that. I'm going to be watching that video later on. I'm going to nick that little comment. That is absolutely superb. Fantastic.
Thank you very much, Preds. Yeah, try to turn up with my tracksuit, mate. But anyway, Stoney.
Oh, hello.
Listen, I can only thank you once again, Artie, from hosting Cop Talk. Means a lot to me as well, and Preds for obviously joining us as well. Everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Brilliant show once again. Beautiful content, and we look forward to seeing everybody next week, Thursday at 10 o'clock.
Thank you very much, peoples. Good luck for the weekend. God bless. And we'll see you next week.